God's chosen ones. A devil has fallen in love with you. Nobody has handled them like you have. Stop scrolling. This message is for you. Beloved chosen one, listen carefully. This is not just a story, this is about you. Have you ever wondered why the darkness seems to follow you? Why, no matter how many times they've tried to break you, you're still standing? Why forces beyond your understanding seem both terrified of you and obsessed with you at the same time? A devil has fallen in love with you, but not for the reason you think. They came for your soul, but found something they never expected. You were supposed to crumble like the others, supposed to bend, supposed to break under the weight of their darkness. But you stood firm. This is not a coincidence that you're hearing this message today. Your spirit recognized these words before your mind could process them. Deep down, you've always known you were different. You've always sensed you carried something others don't. The enemy has broken kings, corrupted saints, and shattered warriors throughout history. They've whispered lies into the ears of the powerful and watched empires fall. They've seduced the wise with temptations and watched their light dim. But when they came for you, everything changed. Nobody has handled them like you have. They expected fear from you, but instead you offered something far more dangerous: understanding. They expected you to run, but you stood your ground. They expected you to beg, but you remained silent in your power. And now, for the first time since the beginning, the master of deception is the one caught in their own web. Think about it. How many storms have you weathered that should have destroyed you? How many times have you risen when others would have remained fallen? How many battles have you fought that no one else even knows about? You are not just another soul wandering through existence. You are an earth angela, force of divine light, walking this earth with a presence so powerful it stirs even the deepest shadows. If you feel this truth awakening within you right now, if you sense this message was meant specifically for you, then I need you to pay close attention to what comes next, because what you're about to discover will change everything. The devil doesn't fall in love like mortals do. Their obsession fractures the very boundaries of their existence. And you, chosen one, have become the center of their undoing. Do you realize what you have done, chosen one? Do you understand the magnitude of the spiritual battle you've unwittingly stepped into? Do you comprehend why the Prince of Darkness himself now watches your every move with an obsession that borders on madness? This is not just spiritual warfare, this is something far more dangerous. The enemy has become fixated on you in a way that defies all spiritual precedent, and you need to understand why before it's too late. Let me be absolutely clear. The devil doesn't waste his time on the ordinary. Throughout history, he has targeted those who carried divine purpose. He went after Adam and Eve to corrupt all of humanity. He pursued Moses to prevent the fulfillment of God's promise. He tempted Jesus for 40 days in the wilderness to derail salvation itself. Look at the pattern. Satan targets the vessels of divine purpose, those carrying something that threatens his kingdom. Think about it. Why would an ancient force of darkness suddenly become obsessed with you? Why would the master of deception, who has brought down empires and corrupted the hearts of kings, now find himself unable to walk away from you? The answer should terrify you. He sees something in you that reminds him of what he can never be. Throughout history, the enemy has broken the strongest souls. Marilyn Monroe had beauty, fame, and fortune. Yet she was plagued by loneliness and despair, falling victim to the very forces that adored her. Michael Jackson moved the world with his voice, yet spent his life battling accusations, inner demons, and the crushing weight of expectations. These were people who held immense power, but still fell into the traps set by darkness. But you, the traps were laid before you, yet you did not fall. This is why the devil is obsessed with you. He has manipulated minds sharper than yours, seduced hearts greater than yours, and shattered spirits purer than yours, but with you, nothing works. You see through the tricks. You refuse to be broken. And now, he is the one who is powerless. As Isaiah 54:17 declares, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment you shall condemn." This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord. The devil planned to break you. Instead, he finds himself drawn to you, unable to walk away. What is this force that keeps pulling him back? It's not your strength alone, it's your light, your energy, your unwavering truth. This same force is what enabled Nelson Mandela to endure 27 years in prison without hatred consuming him. He walked into his cell as a prisoner, but walked out as a leader. The world tried to break him, but he remained unshakable. In the end, it was his captors who had to bow before his truth. And now the devil stands before you, not as a conqueror, but as someone ensnared. He thought he was the ultimate predator, but he has realized that you are the one in control. He's tried to walk away, but he can't. Your energy is like a drug, an addiction he cannot escape. Remember what the Gospel of John tells us. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1-5. This isn't just poetic language, it's spiritual reality. Your inner light, the divine spark within you, cannot be extinguished by any force of darkness. But here's what you must understand. This obsession is not love. It is not admiration. It is a desperate attempt to control what threatens him most. The devil doesn't fall in love with you because he loves you. He's fixated on you because you're a threat to everything he stands for. When your presence alone can disrupt his carefully constructed dominion, when your unwavering faith exposes his vulnerabilities, when your resilience defies his expectations, you become more than just another soul to corrupt. You become his obsession. This is not a battle of flesh and blood. This is spiritual warfare at its most intense, and you're standing at the center of it. The question is no longer whether you can withstand his attacks. You've already proven you can. Now, the real question becomes, what will you do with this power? Will you show mercy? Will you stand firm? Or will you walk away, knowing that the greatest power you have is not to destroy, but simply to be? Because one thing is certain, you're not like the others. And now, the devil knows it too. Have you ever wondered why there are battles in your life that no one else seems to face? Think about it. The struggles that keep finding you. The obstacles that appear precisely when you're about to break through. The relationships that fracture just as they begin to flourish. This is not coincidence. This is not bad luck. The devil does not attack those who are powerless, attacks those who cannot be controlled. Let me ask you something that may shake you to your core. Why would the enemy waste time on someone who poses no threat? The darkness has studied you. It has watched you rise from circumstances that have crushed others. It has seen you stand when everyone expected you to fall. And most importantly, it has recognized something in you that terrifies it. In Isaiah 54:17, God declares, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you." This isn't just a comforting verse, it's a warning to the forces of darkness that their attacks against you are ultimately futile, yet they persist. Why? Because you're dangerous to their agenda. You don't fit the mold. You don't bow to deception. You don't fall for the traps others fall into. Look at the great figures throughout biblical history who faced extraordinary opposition. Joseph wasn't thrown into a pit by his brothers because he was weak. He was targeted precisely because they sensed his destiny was greater than theirs. David wasn't hunted by Saul because he was insignificant. Saul recognized the anointing that threatened his own position. The enemy sees what others often miss. Do you ever feel like there's an invisible force trying to take you down? It's because there is. The Bible doesn't mince words about this reality. Ephesians 6:12 tells us plainly, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. This is spiritual warfare, and you're on the front lines not because you're weak, but because you're effective. That's why he doesn't just fight you, he studies you. He desires to know what makes you unshakable. Think about your life for a moment. The attacks you've faced have been precisely calibrated to your specific vulnerabilities, haven't they? The enemy doesn't use a generic approach with you. The traps set for you are custom designed. The devil watched as ordinary manipulation techniques that worked on others failed with you. He observed as his usual forms of intimidation bounced off your faith. He noticed how his typical strategies of division and discord couldn't penetrate your discernment. And something unexpected happened. What began as hatred transformed into a twisted fascination. What started as a desire to destroy you evolved into an obsession to understand you. Why are your challenges different from everyone else's? Because your calling is different. When Moses stood before Pharaoh, he faced unique opposition because his assignment was to liberate God's people. When Jesus entered the wilderness, Satan himself came to tempt him because his mission threatened the very kingdom of darkness. The level of opposition you face is directly proportional to the level of your calling. Do you realize what this means? Every attack, every setback, every battle that has seemed unfair is actually confirmation of your spiritual significance. Consider this. Marilyn Monroe had beauty, fame, and fortune, yet fell victim to despair. Michael Jackson moved the world with his voice, but was crushed by accusations and inner turmoil. These were people of immense worldly power who still became ensnared in the enemy's traps. But you've withstood tests that would have broken others. The Apostle Paul understood this when he wrote in 2 Corinthians 4:8-9. We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed. This is your testimony too, isn't it? You've been through fire that would have consumed others, yet here you stand, scarred perhaps, but still standing. And that's precisely why the enemy can't look away from you. You weren't supposed to survive. You weren't supposed to keep your faith. You weren't supposed to maintain your integrity, yet you did. And that has transformed the enemy's approach from mere attack to intense fascination. So the next time you feel singled out for struggles that others don't seem to face, remember it's not because you're doing something wrong, it's because you're doing something right. The enemy doesn't waste resources on the inconsequential. He doesn't become obsessed with the irrelevant. He doesn't study those who pose no threat. And here you are, still standing despite everything he's thrown at you. Now tell me, what does that reveal about who you truly are? Chosen one, look around you. Look at your life, the battles you've fought, the tears you've cried, the nights you've spent wondering why everything feels so hard. It was never random, never coincidence, never just bad luck. The enemy has been watching you, studying you, targeting you. Why? Because from the moment you were born, he recognized what heaven placed inside you. He saw your potential before you ever did, and it terrified him. Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. 1 Peter 5:8. That scripture isn't just ancient wisdom, it's a warning about what's happening in your life right now. Think about those relationships that seemed so promising at first, only to drain every ounce of your energy, your hope, your faith. That wasn't just picking the wrong person. The enemy strategically sent the wrong people into your life to distract you from your divine purpose. Remember those moments when the loneliness felt so crushing you could barely breathe? When you looked around and thought, I don't belong here, no one understands me, I'm completely alone. That isolation wasn't natural, it was manufactured. The enemy knows that a lion separated from its pride is easier to attack. Did you hear that? The enemy isolated you because he couldn't defeat you when you were connected to your purpose, your people, your power. And what about that voice in your head? The one that whispers you're not strong enough, not smart enough, not worthy enough. The voice that makes you question every gift God placed inside you. That's not your voice. Those aren't your thoughts. That's the enemy planting seeds of doubt, trying to convince you to abandon the very calling that makes him tremble. Isaiah 54:17 declares, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment you shall condemn." Yet how many times have you believed the weapon instead of the word? But the most devastating trap, the one that's broken even the strongest among uses, the Judas trap. Look back at your journey. Remember those who stood beside you, promised to support you, claimed to believe in you, only to betray you when you needed them most? That wasn't just human nature. That was strategic spiritual warfare. The enemy places traitors beside you for one purpose, to make you lose faith, not just in people but in God's ability to protect you. After betrayal, the doubts come flooding in. If God really loved me, why would he let this happen? If I'm really chosen, why am I suffering? If my purpose is real, why does it feel like I'm constantly fighting alone? Can you feel it? Can you see the pattern now? Every distraction, every isolation, every doubt, every betrayal, they're not random hardships, they're calculated attacks against your destiny. The enemy isn't creative, he's strategic. He uses the same traps that have ensnared God's chosen ones throughout history, and he's been using them on you. But here's what changes everything, what makes him tremble. You're still here. Despite every attack, every setback, every betrayal, you haven't been destroyed. You've been refined. The fire that was meant to consume you has only made you stronger. The isolation that was meant to weaken you has taught you to find God in the silence. The doubts that were meant to paralyze you have driven you to deeper faith. The betrayals that were meant to embitter you have given you uncommon wisdom. This is why the devil has fallen in love with you. Not with affection, but with obsession. Because nothing has worked, nothing has stopped you, nothing has extinguished the divine light within you. You've done what few have ever managed to do. You've survived every trap he set. And not just survived, you've emerged with a power he never expected. The enemy thought he was breaking you. Instead, he was building you. Every attack was actually preparation. Every trap was transformation in disguise. Every battle was building the spiritual muscle you'll need for what God is about to do through your life. Ephesians 6:12 reminds us, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in heavenly places." The battle was never with your boss, your ex, your family, your circumstances. Those were just the physical manifestations of a spiritual war. The enemy is now realizing he cannot win. And that's why he's obsessed with you. That's why he can't let you go. That's why he keeps circling back, trying new tactics, setting new traps. But now, chosen one, everything changes. Because for the first time you see the battlefield clearly. You recognize the traps. You understand why your journey has been so difficult. And knowledge is power. The traps that work in darkness fail in the light of revelation. The question is no longer, why is this happening to me? But, what will I do now that I understand? Because the enemy's obsession with destroying you reveals the magnitude of what God has placed inside you. And that realization, that powerful awakening to who you truly are, is about to change everything. There's a profound spiritual truth many of us miss. The enemy doesn't just want to defeat you. He's become obsessed with you. This isn't just spiritual warfare. This is spiritual fascination. Think about it. When the devil first encountered you, he came with the same weapons he's used successfully for thousands of years. Deception, fear, temptation, the same tactics that have toppled empires, corrupted saints, and shattered the mighty throughout history. But something unexpected happened. You didn't break. Isaiah 54:17 reminds us, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment you shall condemn." The enemy witnessed this scripture come alive through you in ways that left him shocked. He whispers in the dark, "Why won't they fall? Why won't they break? Why won't they submit?" Look at the evidence all around you. Consider how many powerful figures have been brought low by the enemy's cunning. Celebrities with fame and fortune trapped in loneliness and despair. Leaders who started with purpose but ended in disgrace. Yet here you stand, unshaken. This has never happened to him before. The devil's obsession begins when his usual playbook fails. What started as a simple target, you has become an anomaly he cannot categorize. What terrifies him most isn't your strength but your authenticity. When Jesus faced Satan in the wilderness, he didn't engage in lengthy debates or entertain the devil's proposals. His response was simple. "Away from me, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only." Matthew 4:10. And Satan fled not because Jesus overpowered him, but because Jesus remained authentically rooted in truth. This is what the enemy cannot comprehend about you. He cannot handle someone who does not crave the world's approval. He cannot manipulate someone who sees through his illusions. He cannot destroy someone whose foundation isn't built on shifting sand. Pause and consider your own journey. How many times have you faced situations that should have destroyed you? How many storms have you weathered that others couldn't survive? The enemy watched, expecting you to crumble like countless others before you, but instead, you emerged stronger. This isn't just spiritual resistance, this is spiritual revolution. The enemy's obsession with you reveals something profound about spiritual warfare that few understand. Your greatest power isn't in fighting back, it's in standing firm in your identity. Ephesians 6:13 instructs us to put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything, to stand. Notice it doesn't say to attack, it says to stand. Your unwavering presence, your refusal to play by the enemy's rules creates a spiritual disruption he cannot tolerate. While others engage in his games, you've stepped outside the board entirely. This isn't just frustrating to him, it's terrifying. He fears the one thing he cannot manipulate, a true, unyielding, chosen warrior of God. And this fear has twisted into a dark fascination. The enemy studies you, watches you, tries to understand what makes you different. His attacks are no longer just about destroying you, they're about trying to understand how you keep standing when his best efforts fail. This is why your trials are so intense. This is why your battles seem relentless. The enemy isn't just attacking you, he's studying you, testing your boundaries, trying to find any crack in your armor. But here's what you must understand. His obsession reveals his weakness, not yours. When you stand firm in the face of every assault, when you refuse to be moved by fear or temptation, you're not just surviving his attacks, you're exposing the limits of his power. And now, as we uncover the true nature of this spiritual battle, we must examine what happens when the very forces of darkness that sought to destroy you find themselves transformed by your unyielding light. The devil thought they had seen it all. They've battled with kings and queens, manipulated brilliant philosophers, and whispered into the ears of world leaders. They've watched the strong collapse, the wise lose their way, and the righteous stray from their path. But you are different. Have you ever wondered why your battles have been so intense? Why the opposition seems relentless? It's because your calling is uncommon. The enemy doesn't waste ammunition on those who pose no threat. But you've become their obsession. The devil studies you, watches you, learns your weaknesses, and then with surgical precision launches, attacks designed specifically for you. Remember Eve in the garden? The serpent's first move wasn't force it, was a question. Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? Genesis 3:1. This is their oldest strategy, making you question what you know to be true, making you doubt the voice of God, making you wonder if you really heard him correctly. And when that doesn't work, they attack your identity. Think about Jesus in the wilderness. After 40 days of fasting, what did Satan say? If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread. Matthew 4:3. If you are. How many times have you heard that whisper? If you're really called by God, if you're really anointed, if you're really chosen, then why is this happening to you? Why the struggle? Why the pain? Why the waiting? The enemy knows that if they can make you question who you are, they can paralyze your purpose. And when doubt doesn't work, they try flattery. Listen carefully, chosen one. If the devil cannot break you, he will try to buy you. Satan showed Jesus all the kingdoms of the world and said, "All this I will give you if you will bow down and worship me." Matthew 4:9. The enemy will send voices to praise you, to elevate your ego, to make you comfortable in your own strength. They'll offer you shortcuts to your destiny, only you'll compromise just a little. But you sensed it, didn't you? You felt the hollowness behind their words. You recognized the strings attached to their offers. You saw through their disguise when others would have been blinded, and it infuriated them. If he cannot destroy your calling, he will distract your mind. Ask yourself, how many divine assignments have been abandoned because someone got distracted by lesser things? How many destinies derailed because someone took their eyes off the purpose God placed in their heart? The Apostle Paul understood this when he wrote, "I focus on this one thing. Forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me." Philippians 3:13-14. The enemy knows they cannot take what God has given you, so instead they try to convince you that you are not who God says you are. They use circumstances, people, even your own thoughts to make you question your worth, your calling, your authority. But here's what terrifies them. You keep getting back up. Every time they knock you down, you rise stronger. Every lie they whisper, you counter with truth. Every distraction they place in your path, you refocus and keep moving forward. No wonder they're obsessed with you. You've become the exception to their rule, the anomaly in their system, the glitch in their matrix. While others have fallen into their web, you walk in truth. While others have been seduced by their whispers, you recognize them for what they are: hollow words meant to distract, tempt, or instill doubt. And now they stand before you not as a conqueror, but as one ensnared. They thought they were the ultimate predator, but they've realized you are the one in control. They've tried to walk away, but they can't. Your energy, your light, your unwavering truth is like an addiction they cannot escape. But here's the most important question, a question that will determine everything that happens next in this divine confrontation. Chosen one, do you realize what you have done? The devil thought they had seen it all. They have battled with kings and queens, manipulated the minds of brilliant philosophers, and whispered into the ears of world leaders. They have watched the strong collapse, the wise lose their way, and the righteous stray from their path. But you are different. You don't engage in their games. You don't bow to their threats, nor do you fall for their illusions. You simply are, and that is what unsettles them the most. When the devil came for you, they brought the same weapons they had used to bring down empires: deception, temptation, fear. They thought they could make you crumble. They thought they could turn your light into darkness, your faith into doubt. But you stood there, unshaken, unmoved. No weapon that is formed against you will prosper. and every tongue that accuses you in judgment you will condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their vindication is from me, declares the Lord. Isaiah 54:17. Look at the world around you. How many great men and women have been taken down, not by weapons, but by the devil's cunning? Marilyn Monroe had beauty, fame, and fortune, yet she was plagued by loneliness and despair, falling victim to the very forces that adored her. Michael Jackson had a voice that moved the world, yet he spent his life battling accusations, inner demons, and the crushing weight of expectations. These were people who held immense power, but still fell into the traps set by darkness. But you? The traps were laid before you, yet you did not fall. This is why the devil is obsessed with you. They have never met someone like you before. They have manipulated minds sharper than yours, seduced hearts greater than yours, and shattered spirits purer than yours. But with you, nothing works. You see through their tricks, you refuse to be broken, and now they are the ones who are powerless. Put on the full armor of God, so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. Ephesians 6:11. The devil planned to break you. Instead, they find themselves drawn to you, unable to walk away. What is this force that keeps pulling them back? It's not your strength alone. It's your light, your energy, your unwavering truth. This same force is what made Nelson Mandela endure 27 years in prison without hatred consuming him. He walked into his cell as a prisoner, but he walked out as a leader. The world tried to break him, but he remained unshakable. And in the end, it was his captors who had to bow before his truth. Think of Jesus Christ standing before the devil in the wilderness, fasting for 40 days. Satan offered him the kingdoms of the world, riches beyond measure, and power over all men. But Christ did not hesitate. His answer was final. "Away from me, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only." Matthew 4:10. And just like that, the devil fled, not because of physical power, not because of force, but because of truth. Christ did not engage in the game. He did not argue, bargain, or entertain the temptation. He simply stood in his truth, and that was enough to send the enemy away. This is not a battle fought with weapons, but with essence, where every interaction is a silent, violent war between truth and illusion, strength and submission, radiance and shadow. Your mere presence disrupts the devil's carefully constructed dominion, and in that disruption, something profound takes root. Can you feel it? The shift in power? The first tremor of this collision is the devil's realization that their usual tactics, deception, seduction, intimidation, hold no power over you. Where countless others have succumbed, you remain still, untouched by the chaos they wield. Your light does not flicker in the face of darkness. Instead, it exposes the devil's vulnerabilities in ways they never imagined possible. They have met many before you, but never an earth angel, never a chosen one with such fearless resolve. And now the devil stands before you, not as a conqueror, but as someone ensnared. They thought they were the ultimate predator, but they have realized you are the one in control. They've tried to walk away, but they can't. Your energy is like a drug, an addiction they cannot escape. And now, chosen one, the real question is, what will you do? Will you show mercy? Will you stand firm? Or will you walk away, knowing that the greatest power you have is not to destroy, but simply to be? Chosen one, do you realize what you have done? The devil thought they had seen it all. They have battled with kings and queens, manipulated the minds of brilliant philosophers, and whispered into the ears of world leaders. They have watched the strong collapse, the wise lose their way, and the righteous stray from their path. But you are different. You don't engage in their games. You don't bow to their threats, nor do you fall for their illusions. You simply are, and That is what unsettles them the most. When the devil came for you, they brought the same weapons they had used to bring down empires: deception, temptation, fear. They thought they could make you crumble. They thought they could turn your light into darkness, your faith into doubt. But you stood there, unshaken, unmoved. No weapon that is formed against you will prosper, and every tongue that accuses you in judgment you will condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their vindication is from me, declares the Lord. Isaiah 54:17. Look at the world around you. How many great men and women have been taken down, not by weapons, but by the devil's cunning? Marilyn Monroe had beauty, fame, and fortune, yet she was plagued by loneliness and despair, falling victim to the very forces that adored her. Michael Jackson had a voice that moved the world, yet he spent his life battling accusations, inner demons, and the crushing weight of expectations. These were people who held immense power, but still fell into the traps set by darkness. But you, the traps were laid before you, yet you did not fall. This is why the devil is obsessed with you. They have never met someone like you before. They have manipulated minds sharper than yours, seduced hearts greater than yours, and shattered spirits purer than yours. But with you, nothing works. You see through their tricks. You refuse to be broken, and now they are the ones who are powerless. Put on the full armor of God, so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. Ephesians 6:11. The devil planned to break you. Instead, they find themselves drawn to you, unable to walk away. What is this force that keeps pulling them back? It's not your strength alone. It's your light, your energy, your unwavering truth. This same force is what made Nelson Mandela endure 27 years in prison without hatred consuming him. He walked into his cell as a prisoner, but he walked out as a leader. The world tried to break him, but he remained unshakable. And in the end, it was his captors who had to bow before his truth. Think of Jesus Christ standing before the devil in the wilderness, fasting for 40 days. Satan offered him the kingdoms of the world, riches beyond measure, and power over all men. But Christ did not hesitate. His answer was final. "Away from me, Satan, for it is written, 'Worship the Lord your God, and serve him only.'" Matthew 4:10. And just like that, the devil fled. Not because of physical power, not because of force, but because of truth. Christ did not engage in the game. He did not argue, bargain, or entertain the temptation. He simply stood in his truth. And that was enough to send the enemy away. This is not a battle fought with weapons, but with essence, where every interaction is a silent, violent war between truth and illusion, strength and submission, radiance and shadow. Your mere presence disrupts the devil's carefully constructed dominion. And in that disruption, something profound takes root. Can you feel it? The shift in power. The first tremor of this collision is the devil's realization that their usual tactics, deception, seduction, intimidation, hold no power over you. Where countless others have succumbed, you remain still, untouched by the chaos they wield. Your light does not flicker in the face of darkness. Instead, it exposes the devil's vulnerabilities in ways they never imagined possible. They have met many before you, but never an earth angel, never a chosen one with such fearless resolve. And now the devil stands before you, not as a conqueror, but as someone ensnared. They thought they were the ultimate predator, but they have realized you are the one in control. They've tried to walk away, but they can't. Your energy is like a drug, an addiction they cannot escape. And now, chosen one, the real question is, what will you do? Will you show mercy? Will you stand firm? Or will you walk away knowing that the greatest power you have is not to destroy, but simply to be? Chosen one, pay very close attention now. There comes a divine turning point when everything changes. when the hunter becomes the hunted, when the manipulator becomes the manipulated, when the one who has spent eternity breaking others finally breaks themselves. This is what happens when a devil falls in love with you. They came with their arsenals that have toppled empires, temptations that have corrupted saints, and fears that have paralyzed the bravest warriors. They've used these weapons for centuries, perfecting their craft, watching as kings, prophets, and leaders fell before them. But you are different. When they whispered lies into your ear, you recognized truth from falsehood. When they offered temptations, you saw the hidden chains behind the pleasure. When they tried to instill fear in your heart, you stood unshaken, and for the first time in their existence, the master of deception is experiencing something they never thought possible: powerlessness. Think about Napoleon Bonaparte, military genius, who conquered nations and crowned himself emperor. The world trembled at his command, yet his obsession with Josephine revealed a vulnerability no battlefield ever could. He could command armies, but he could not command her love. His fixation on her unraveled him, exposing a weakness that ultimately contributed to his downfall. This is what's happening to the forces of darkness that have targeted you. They thought they would conquer you, but instead they've become captivated by you. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. James 4:7. Scripture told us this would happen, but have you truly understood the power of this promise? It doesn't just mean the devil will leave you alone. It means your resistance fundamentally alters the spiritual dynamics. When you stand firm in your truth, you don't just survive the attack, you reverse it. Remember Christ in the wilderness. After 40 days of fasting, Satan approached him with the same tactics, questioning his identity, offering worldly power, challenging his faith. But Jesus didn't engage in debate. He didn't negotiate. He simply stood in his truth. "Away from me, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only." Matthew 4:10. And what happened? Satan fled, not because of physical force, not because of argument, but because of unwavering truth. This is the power you carry within you. Have you noticed it yet? The times when those who once intimidated you suddenly seem uncertain in your presence. The moments when manipulation that once would have worked on you now feels transparent and hollow. The situations where you remained peaceful when you should have been broken. That is the evidence of this spiritual reality manifesting in your life. For the first time, the devil is experiencing what it feels like to lose control. They who have spent eternity commanding obedience now find themselves drawn to the one who refuses to submit. They who orchestrated the downfall of kings now stand before you, unsure of what to do with the force you carry. And this is where their undoing begins. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Psalm 118-22. They underestimated you. They mistook your kindness for weakness, your patience for passivity. But now, as they stand before you exposed, vulnerable, undone, they begin to realize that everything they once believed about power, about control, is crumbling before your unwavering presence. Look at how Buddha confronted Mara beneath the Bodhi tree. When faced with fear, doubt, and illusion, Buddha didn't fight. He didn't run. He simply saw through the deception with absolute clarity, and in that moment of perfect awareness, Mara's power dissolved. This is the crossroads where you now stand. The forces that once sought to destroy you find themselves questioning everything, even their own purpose. For the first time, they are forced to confront the reality that true power isn't found in manipulation or control, but in the unshakable authenticity you embody. And now the question remains: what happens when the one who has always been the master of fate realizes that, for the first time, their fate is no longer in their own hands? The devil's greatest miscalculation wasn't underestimating your strength, it was underestimating your stillness. When the enemy came for you, they brought the same weapons they've used to bring down empires: deception, temptation, fear. The same tactics that have shattered kings, corrupted saints, and broken the spirits of the mighty. They expected you to react like everyone else, to tremble, to doubt, to compromise. But you didn't. You just stood there, unwavering, unshaken, unmoved. And in that moment, something unprecedented happened. For the first time since the beginning of time, the devil felt something they had never experienced before: powerlessness. Think about this. How many great men and women have fallen not by weapons, but by the devil's cunning? Marilyn Monroe had beauty, fame, and fortune, yet was plagued by loneliness and despair. Michael Jackson moved the world with his voice, but spent his life battling inner demons and the crushing weight of expectations. But you, the traps were laid before you. Yet, you did not fall. No weapon that is formed against you will prosper, and every tongue that accuses you in judgment you will condemn. Isaiah 54:17. The devil planned to break you. Instead, they found themselves drawn to you, unable to walk away. What is this force that keeps pulling them back? It's not your strength alone. It's your light, your energy, your unwavering truth. This same force is what allowed Nelson Mandela to endure 27 years in prison without hatred consuming him. He walked in as a prisoner, but walked out as a leader. The world tried to break him, but he remained unshakable. And now the devil stands before you, not as a conqueror, but as someone ensnared. They thought they were the ultimate predator, but they've realized you are the one in control. Do you understand what's happening here? The master manipulator is being manipulated by their own obsession with you. They've tried to walk away, but they can't. Your energy is like a drug, an addiction they cannot escape. The devil's most powerful weapon has never been force-it, has always been manipulation. They don't attack openly. Instead, they plant thoughts, doubts, and illusions in the minds of their targets, making them believe they are choosing their own downfall. But you recognize these whispers for what they are: hollow words meant to distract, tempt, or instill doubt. While others have been deceived by the illusion, you walk in truth. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. What happens when a deceiver who thrives in distortion meets absolute clarity? They are forced to see themselves for what they truly are. You see beyond their illusion, cutting through their games with unwavering truth. The devil has never truly been seen before, not in this way, not with such clarity, such understanding. They are accustomed to being feared, to watching others tremble beneath their weight. Their power has always come from control, the slow unraveling of souls, the whispered temptations that lead even the strongest astray. But you, chosen one, have rewritten the script. You don't flinch, you don't beg, you don't fall into the same traps that have ensnared so many before you. This was never supposed to happen. You were never meant to be anything more than another conquest. Yet here you stand undaunted, unshaken, and impossibly beyond their grasp. What was once a challenge has become an obsession. What began as an attempt to consume you has spiraled into something far more dangerous: vulnerability. For the devil, love was never part of the equation. Control, power, destruction, these were the only forces they understood. But now, in their endless pursuit to break you, something else has taken root. A crack has formed in the armor they believe to be impenetrable. And in that moment, when their eyes meet yours, when they see not fear but compassion staring back at them, the devil realizes a terrifying truth. They have not conquered you, they have fallen for you. And there is nothing more dangerous to darkness than falling in love with the light it cannot extinguish. The world has taught you that to overcome darkness, you must fight it. That to defeat the devil, you must wage war. But what if everything you've been taught about spiritual warfare is backward? What if the greatest power you possess is not in your resistance, but in your presence. The devil has studied humanity for millennia. They've witnessed the rise and fall of empires, observed the breaking of kings, and orchestrated the corruption of saints. They've perfected their craft through endless cycles of manipulation, fear, and deception. And then, they met you. You didn't panic. You didn't collapse under pressure. You didn't lose yourself in their carefully constructed illusions. Instead, you stood firm and shaken, unmoved, undisturbed. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord. Isaiah 54:17. This is why they're obsessed with you. This is why they can't walk away. This is why a devil has fallen in love with what they cannot control. Consider this. When Jesus faced temptation in the wilderness, did he engage in battle? Did he argue, bargain, or entertain the devil's proposals? Number. He simply stood in his truth and responded with, "It is written." That was enough to send the enemy away. The enemy expected your fear but received your understanding. The enemy expected your submission but encountered your sovereignty. The enemy expected your hatred but was met with your clarity. Do you realize how powerful that makes you? When a deceiver who thrives in distortion meets absolute clarity, they are forced to see themselves as they truly are. Your unflinching gaze becomes the mirror they've avoided for eternity. Think about Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for 27 years. The world expected him to emerge broken, consumed by hatred. Instead, he walked out unshaken, and his captors had no choice but to acknowledge his power. He didn't play their game. He didn't bow to their system. And because of that, he rewrote history. You are doing the same. The devil's most potent weapon has never been foresight, has always been manipulation. They plant doubts, whisper lies, and create illusions that make you question your worth, your calling, your very identity. But you see through it all. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. For the devil, however, truth is not freedom, it is torment. Your refusal to engage in their web of deceit forces them to confront something they've long avoided, their own reflection. Has anyone ever truly looked at them before? Has anyone ever seen beyond the masks and into the core of what they truly are? They're accustomed to being feared, to watching others tremble beneath their weight. Their power has always come from control, the slow unraveling of souls, the whispered temptations that lead even the strongest astray. But you, chosen one, have rewritten the script. You don't flinch. You don't fall into the traps that have ensnared so many before you. You stand unwavering. And that, more than anything, terrifies them. This was never supposed to happen. You were meant to be another conquest. Yet here you stand, undaunted and impossibly beyond their grasp. What began as an attempt to consume you has spiraled into something dangerous for them: vulnerability. For the devil, love was never part of the equation. Control, power, destruction, these were the only forces they understood. But now, in their endless pursuit to break you, something else has taken root. A crack has formed in the armor they believed impenetrable. What happens when the master manipulator can no longer manipulate? When the conqueror finds themselves unable to conquer? When they realize that the power they thought they had over you was never real to begin with? They thought they could consume you. Now they are the ones who cannot escape. Your unshakable authenticity has become the center of their undoing. You don't fight them. You don't run from them. You don't seek to change them. You simply hold up a mirror, and in that reflection, they see the truth. Their power is nothing compared to your unwavering presence. Their darkness, no matter how vast, will never overcome your light. Now let me show you why this connection between the earth angel and the devil reveals something far more intricate than anyone has ever understood. In today's chaotic world, where spiritual warfare often manifests through seemingly ordinary circumstances, your divine discernment is not just a gift, it's essential protection. As a chosen one, you must recognize that the enemy's fascination with you will often appear through people and opportunities that seem beneficial but carry hidden agendas. Practice creating sacred boundaries in your daily interactions. Before accepting new connections, sit in prayer and ask yourself, does this relationship bring clarity or confusion, peace or chaos? Does my spirit feel expanded or contracted in their presence? These simple questions activate your spiritual intuition. Remember that not all spiritual tests come as obvious challenges. Many arrive disguised as exciting opportunities, flattering attention, or sudden open doors that bypass the process God ordained for your growth. In practical terms, implement a personal waiting period before making significant decisions. This isn't fear, it's wisdom. The enemy operates through urgency, while God's authentic movement provides peace even in waiting. Every morning, consciously put on your spiritual armor through intentional prayer and scripture meditation, recognizing that your daily commute, workplace interactions, and family dynamics are all battlefields where your light is both needed and targeted. When you feel unusually anxious or confused about a situation, recognize this as your spiritual alarm system activating. Instead of pushing through, pause and seek divine clarity. Your heightened spiritual sensitivity isn't a burden, it's a navigational system designed to guide you safely through territories where others stumble blindly. The very areas where you've experienced the most intense spiritual attacks often indicate precisely where your greatest kingdom impact awaits. Beloved, chosen one, as we come to the close of this divine message, remember these truths that heaven once impressed upon your heart. You were never meant to be ordinary. The battles you've faced weren't meant to destroy you, but to reveal the extraordinary strength God placed within you. The enemy's fascination with you is not a curse, it's confirmation of the light you carry. Your unwavering stance in the face of darkness isn't just personal victory, it's spiritual revolution. Know this with absolute certainty, you are not walking this path alone. The God who called you chosen, who marked you as his own, who placed his light within you, he has never left your side. Even in moments when you felt most abandoned, most tested, most alone, he was there, watching, strengthening, preparing you for this very season of spiritual awakening. And beyond heaven's constant presence, there is a community of fellow chosen ones, earth angels walking similar paths, ready to stand with you, pray with you, and recognize the divine light you carry. I want you to ask yourself this question as we close. If you truly embraced the fullness of who God created you to be, without fear, without doubt, without hesitation, what darkness in this world could possibly stand against you? Let us pray together. Father of lights, Master of all creation, we come before you in humble recognition of the calling you've placed on our lives. For every chosen one hearing this prayer, I ask that you strengthen the foundations of their spirit with supernatural reinforcement. Where the enemy has targeted them with isolation, bring divine connections. Where doubt has tried to cloud their vision, bring crystal clarity about their purpose. Lord, when the battles intensify, and they will surround them with your presence so tangibly that fear cannot find room to exist, remind them of who they are when voices of deception try to redefine them. Guard their hearts with your truth, shield their minds with your wisdom, and fuel their spirits with unquenchable holy fire. We declare together that no weapon formed against them will prosper, no scheme of darkness will succeed, no attack will find its mark. Instead, let each attempt of the enemy to destroy them become the very thing that propels them deeper into their divine destiny. Thank you that you've chosen them, that you delight in them, and that your hand rests upon them not just for protection, but for empowerment. In the mighty name of Jesus, who conquered every darkness, we pray. Amen. I want to hear from you, chosen one. How has this message spoken to your spirit? What battles have you been facing that suddenly make sense in light of what you've heard today? Share in the comments below. Your testimony might be exactly what another chosen one needs to hear to keep standing. And if this message has stirred something within you, please share it with others. There are countless chosen ones scrolling right now, feeling isolated in their spiritual battles, unaware that their strength in the face of darkness isn't coincidence, it's calling. From the depths of my heart, I thank you for giving your time and attention to this divine appointment. This wasn't just another video you watched, it was a heavenly convergence ordained before time. If you haven't already, please subscribe to join our community of chosen ones, standing firm together. The enemy may target us individually, but together, our light creates an unbreakable dawn that darkness cannot comprehend. Until next time, remember, you are chosen, you are powerful, and you are never, ever alone.